So in the upcoming video, I'm going to show you how to make this Scuba Woggle. Making these for the upcoming World Scout Jamboree. And besides doing the scuba, I recognize that if I just reversed it, that I'd make a nice OA woggle as well. So the first part of this woggle that we're going to work on is the actual diagonal, and then we'll just set it to the side. It's made from a single cord flat weave, and I'll quickly show you how to do that. So we'll take 25 centimeters or about 10 inches of the white cord. To get this started, you're going to divide it into thirds. The short end is what I'm going to be wrapping around, and the longer end is going to be my working rope. Start by placing the long end over the top of the shorter end, and then I'll pinch right there as a crossing. I'm going to take the working end down. Let me take a little bit more material to the top. I'm going to take the longer end, push it down and up through the middle, and pull it to the back of the loop. So you can see what I've done there then to get it started. To go into the next segment, I'm going to take my loop and I'm going to twist away from me all the way to the back. Again, each time I'm just moving my fingers down to kind of grab the work that I've done. I'm going to take the working end and go down and back up. Each time I do one of these segments, I'm basically alternating between the front and the back, and I'm going down and under and then back up through the loop. So now my rope's to the back. I'm going to twist my loop towards me to pinch it into the corner. Got my loop again, down, around, and up. And my last loop, twist away, pinch the corner, down and up. And I've now created my weave. Now you can see it's a bit of a mess. You can pull on the ends a little bit to pull in some of the cord, kind of over pulled that. But you can then just kind of start working the rope until you get all the segments to be the same. So take anything that's loose and push it somewhere where it's tight, and eventually you'll end up then with the flat weave that you need. So the woggle is made of 3 cores. The very first one is just a 10 centimeter cord that we're going to fuse together to make a ring, and then we'll be working the other 2 layers over the top of this ring. So just a 4 centimeter or 10 centimeter or 4-inch red cord. You can do an initial fuse on the front, but we're going to fuse this into a ring. If you just take a tiki light or any other form of candle, it's the easiest way to actually manage this. So you just take your 10 centimeter cord and then use the candle to get both ends heated at the same time and fuse that together. Just give it some time. This is very important that this fuse be good, because you will be putting a lot of tension on this center ring as you make the various components. So for the core of the woggle itself, we're going to need 8.5 feet or 260 centimeters of red cord. And we're going to start this weave process by running part of it through the center ring. And when we do that, we're going to be establishing the lower weave and then the upper weave. So I'm going to take my cord, run it through the middle, and I've basically then at that point in time have established that as the inner weave, and then I'm going to run it all the way back to my center. And the way I'm going to start this process is I'm going to pinch the loop just a little bit, and the inner weave cord is going to come over the top. So I've got it going off to my left. The inner weave cord is going to go over the top of the outer weave, through the center ring, and up through the upper weave. And once I do that, I can go ahead and pull it tight. So just kind of show you again. So the inner weave went over the top, went through the center, and then came up through the ring, the crossover that I had made with the upper weave. And that's going to be the hardest one to create because it starts the process. Now the other thing that I do is I'll bring it back to just behind my fuse so that I immediately grab my fuse and we'll be wrapping over the top of it in order to secure it. Now when I make this knot, you'll notice that I have a bump over here on the left hand side, and again that bump is going to be kind of our guide as we work through this first weave layer. One quick edit to the initial setup: when you run it back, instead of going back exactly halfway, make sure that the rope that is off of the little knob, that's about 5 centimeters shorter, so that you end up with the right amount of cord at the end. Or else just add 10 centimeters to your entire setup and you should be okay. I finished making the adjustments, so again here's the top line, and it's now about 5 centimeters shorter, just a little bit shorter than the top one, so you don't end up running out of rope. This is now the top weave, this is the bottom weave. So every time I do this, and I'll just be alternating left and right, I'm going to take the upper weave and move it right back across the center ring, and it's going to create this loop over here. And I'm going to take the inner weave rope, the one that's got my black tip, it's going to go over the top and then through the center of the ring and back up again. And you're going to see that that's the common pattern. And then I'll go ahead and pull that knot tight. And if you've ever seen survival bracelets, this is the weave that is found on most of those. And we're going to be creating essentially a survival bracelet that goes over the top of this ring. Now notice when I did this again, now my crossover bump has moved from this initial one on the left to this one on the right. And so that establishes then my next move. I'm going to take the upper weave rope and I'm going to cross it back over again, and then I'm going to take the inner weave, cross over the upper weave through the center and pull through. You can start seeing it form. So the lump's over on this side now. I'm going to cross over. I'm going to take the lower weave, pass it over through the ring and up through the upper weave. And I pull it tight. You want a good tight knots as you get going. The tighter it is, the more compact it'll be. And so now we're just going to go ahead and continue this weave until we get all the way around. Now I can probably, just to make this a really nice tight woggle, you can just kind of pull back a little bit and generate a little more space for maybe just one more row, and that'll make a nice solid base. So I made one extra pull back there, give myself space for one more over, under, through, and I have filled in my base layer for my woggle. What we're going to do now is take the exact same pattern and we're going to move up to the next level, and that's going to then be generating this upper level weave that's a little more spaced out. So we're going to process through that. So I'm just going to be moving up to the next layer. So I'm over here, and now I'm just going to be going over the top, over, under, through, and you're just going to see we're going to get a little bit of a taper here, but then we're going to move up to the next level. Now once you start up on the second level, it's going to be even more important that you're pulling your knot up. You can leave it, if you leave it down below, you're not going to get this nice crisp layers on the side. You won't see them. So see how it's kind of hanging behind? So you got to kind of pull it up and into place and give these knots a good pull, and you're working over that lower base, so it becomes a little extra challenging. So at this point, I'm 3 segments into my top weave, the outer layer of the woggle. And this is where I'm going to want to start picking up my diagonal. I'm about 1/3 of the way from the back of where I started. So I need to open this up just a little bit so I can get my paracord through. And then I'm just going to feed that through here on the left-hand side of the diagonal. So pick it up on, again, the left-hand side with this going down and away from you. And for now, we can just kind of get it out of our way. We're going to continue our weave process. So as if that wasn't there, I'm here, there's my bump. I'm going to go underneath my weave, over the top with my under cord through the middle, and I still need to draw it up through the other side here. And what that's going to do, just that 1 cinch, and just work it all the way down. Pull everything nice and tight, and you can see it's now picked that up. I do want it to cut across all this material, so I'll do a little bit of some fixing here so you can see how that is now grabbing it. And I'm going to pull that nice and tight. And I'll work that into place a little bit more. So that's the first one. What I want to do is put 5 of these segments in before I pick up the bottom on the back. So now we're ready to pick up the diagonal. Way back here, and we're going to be picking it up on the bottom with the top weave coming back across. Now this time when I do it, instead of coming up on the near side, in order to kind of keep this looking like a diagonal, I'm going to come across it and I'm going to go down on the back side. So this is it laying flat, and we'll work the shape of it here in a second. We've got all this material here. I'm going to come across it and go down. I can put that in place when I'm done here. So again, I came down. I'm holding the woggle here. I came down on this back side and I start pulling everything in. You can see how it grabs it. Okay. And then I'm going to be coming across, over, under, and then I need to pick up my loop over here to pull through. We'll get a couple rows in here and then we'll make some adjustments. So here's our diagonal. It's been caught and it's in place, caught in these 2 lines. And now what we want to do is start working our weave to be the right length and to give us the look that we want. So I can see I'm a little bit tight up here on the left and I'm a little bit loose, so I can start pulling some of this cord back towards the top and kind of even out all the segments. So you can play with that. You got line you can pull that you can work in if you need to make it tighter. If you want to make it fatter, then you're going to push line in. So either way that you need to go in order to get the look that you want. Pull it really tight and it's going to be a narrow diagonal. You leave it kind of fluffy and looser. You can kind of pull the loops out and you'll end up with a little bit of a fatter band. So at this point, we'll just go ahead and continue to the end for the finish. All right, now we're ready to finish it off. What I like to do when I'm finishing it off is go ahead and pick up, so this is my diagonal. So I'm gonna, when I come looping across here, I'm going to pick up this other segment that I hadn't hit before, and I'm going to double run that through. I'll cross over, go under, and go through, and I'll have it all nice and secure here on the back side. Now, in order to get an extra line in here, it does help to use like a whole nail punch. Will help you get through that. So I'm just going to come over here and give that a little push through here. And I'm going to pull all the way through because I need to go over there. That's going to come switch back, go through, come up and under. Pull that nice and tight. And then I'm ready to clip off the ends. With the tying of the woggle complete, we just now need to cut off and finish the ends. To do that, just going to want to cut it as close as you can to the edge. And then we're going to heat that and then just mushroom it. So get in tight, cut it, take your lighter, just heat the ends of that, and then just push it flat. That should be enough. Mushroom it a little bit, and that should be enough to keep it from pulling through. Same thing over here. Pull nice and tight. Cut close. Heat the end. Push it flat. Once you've manipulated your diagonal as you see fit, I mentioned that you need to kind of work the knots out, decide whether you want it tight or loose and a little bit fatter. So this is a little bit looser, fatter one. Once I've got everything in place, I have my ends that I need to cut off. Now these have become a little bit more interesting to sear because they're back in here and you don't want to singe anything. So this is where you'll just pull it really tight to get the material out and away from the knot. And then you'll cut it, and then you can push it back where it'll be a little more relaxed. So I cut it out here, out of camera range. But basically I'm just pulling pretty hard in order to be able to get my lighter in there. And flatten that out. Then you can pull the material back into your knot to lay it flat. Doing the same thing on this side. And pull it out a little bit extra hard and tight. Cut it out where I can singe it. Sear it. Mushroom that a little bit. And then pull it back into the knot. Okay, now the ends are done. Go ahead and make some last final adjustments, getting everything all nice and worked into place. There you have it, Scuba Woggle.